Welcome, love, to Wild Flow, the podcast for wild and wise women devoted to honoring your body's wisdom, reclaiming your cyclical power, and walking as a feminine leader in life, love, and through your soul work and purpose. I'm Charlotte Puanto, embodiment coach, ritual priestess, menstrual cycle educator, and feminine business mentor, here to guide soul-led women to step forward as their most magical, womb-awakened, authentic, and sovereign selves. On the podcast, we have rich and deep conversations with women I deeply admire who are leading the way in the reclamation of sacred feminine power. Ready for a new episode, my love? Let's flow. There's a moment that many women reach at midlife where something begins to shift. It's not always loud at first. It can feel subtle, a quiet sense that something just feels off. That the things that used to work no longer do, and the way you've always related to yourself, your body, and your energy is changing. And then underneath that, often a deeper truth begins to surface. I don't recognize myself anymore. I'm not the woman I was. In this episode, we're exploring that space, not as something to rush or fix, but as a threshold, a turning point, an invitation. I'm joined today by Annie Gaudreault. Annie is a nutritionist and women's health coach who supports professional women at midlife to reclaim their energy, clarity, and confidence so they can do what they truly want to do with the vitality that supports it. She brings a deeply grounded, evidence-based lens to her work alongside a lifetime of lived experience. She's completed 12 marathons and 3 Ironman triathlons, and through that journey has developed a powerful relationship with her body, one that's not rooted in force, control, or pushing through past the point that really honors her, but one that is in listening, in resilience, and self-trust. Before stepping into the wellness space, Annie spent over 25 years as a brand consultant working with executives in Fortune 500 companies. That experience now informs the way she supports women navigating full lives, careers, and responsibilities while moving through the profound changes of midlife. In our conversation, we're exploring midlife not as a decline, but as an upgrade. A time where the body begins to speak more clearly and old identities fall away, where clarity, truth, and self-belonging begin to take root in a new, deeper way. We talk about the loss of identity so many women feel, the shift from people-pleasing into deep self-trust, and the simple but powerful practices that help us begin to listen again and stay the course when the going gets tough. So if you've been feeling like something's changing, like you're standing at the edge of a new season, or you're deep in the descent and you're looking for sure footing, this conversation's for you. Settle in, welcome to Wild Flow, and enjoy the episode. Annie Gaudreault, welcome to Wild Flow podcast. It is really lovely to connect with you. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, Charlotte.
Thank you for being here. Annie, we're going to dive into a really juicy conversation today about midlife, about identity changes, body changes, the transformation that is happening within us and how we relate to that and honor that and support ourselves. But before we dive in, I'd love to drop us both in and everyone listening into a cycle check-in, as we always do when we start these episodes. So I'd love to invite you into that, and I'd like to share first, if that's okay. So when I'm thinking about a cycle check-in today for me, I'm thinking about it in terms of different layers of listening to my body and the environment that I'm in. And so for me today, I have my menstrual cycle, and I'm cycle day 13. And for me, that's really coming into my ovulation time. And so I'm feeling a rise in terms of energy and capacity, but my ovulation length has started to get a little shorter already. monthly. So I'm noticing that my sense of like summer's here, but oh, it's not going to be as long and as juicy as it used to be. So there's a bit of a sense of oh, catch it while you can. And it's really curious as I'm starting to relate to my ovulation phase of my cycle differently. And so I'm enjoying it and trying not to have a sense of how can I squeeze the most out of this. It feels to me like when we have a summer season and it's sort of a bit rainy and a bit cold and it doesn't quite live up to its expectations. It's sort of a sense of all of the possibilities and then not having quite lived up to it. So it's quite a curious thing to notice as it's starting to change. But here where I live too, we are in autumn and we're coming up to a point in the wheel of the year that I call Sabbat, the Sabbat of Samhain. And that's this week. So it's sort of like the opposite season to where you are in the north. It's like Halloween. So we've got some pretty cold mornings and beautiful red and orange toned leaves that are all starting to drop as well, and but still plenty of green because we have so many green trees in Australia that never drop leaves. So, but it's really it feels like we're on the precipice of the cold months. Winter's really around the corner, but we're not quite there yet. So, and we're coming up to full moon this week as we record. So, interesting for me to sort of reflect on highs and descending in the world around me and how I'm feeling in opposition to that. So that is my cycle check-in, just feeling a higher energetic current in my own body, and but really aware that there's also a sense of slipping away. Annie, how about you? Would you like to tell us where you are, first of all, and how
Yes.
you relate to the cycles and seasons and maybe in your body or the earth around you, and just how you're feeling in relation to that today?
Yeah, so from a body standpoint, I am now on, post-menopausal, so no longer experiencing cycle. However, still very much influenced by full moon. And I'm a Cancer. The moon is very, very influential for me. And being in Canada, and this is an incredible time of year of spring, and the winters can be long here. So this is a time of renewal. It's a time of like, feeling alive again, right? We are finally spending more time outside and even just being in contact with nature because we are taking care of our environment around us and we are cleaning and clipping and you're really in contact with nature, which I love. I'm a big outdoors person. So I'm really enjoying and thriving on the longer days. And even though our nights are still cool, the days are just magnificent.
Beautiful. Oh, I can really feel that sense of after a long, cold winter, being able to emerge and go outside again and, like you say, be out and enjoy it and feel the sun and
Yes,
like coming back to life after a long time. Yeah,
exactly. Oh,
yeah,
yes. Yes.
yeah.
Everybody is in much better spirit. I can tell you that.
I can imagine. I can imagine. I'm not sure how I would go, but I'm sure you have all kinds of ways of shaping your lives around it with such long, dark winters where I guess you're inside a lot and not around others
Yeah,
so much. Hmm.
very much so.
Mm. Well, thank you for sharing. It's really beautiful hearing as well how you're so influenced by the moon and how that cycle is one that holds you, especially as a Cancer. I'm a Cancer rising, and
Ah,
so whilst a Sagittarius sun, I really feel the moon's influence. And something I've remarked on before is I don't live in a city; I live in the countryside, and so living here, I have a really clear sky And so I really see, obviously, pending clouds, but really get a sense of the moon here that I never used to have when I lived in this city. And so it's a rhythm that I really love to tap into, especially when my cycle, my body menstrual cycle goes a little out of whack or it's changing. So I love hearing that that's something that you're relating to and aware of. And yeah, it sort of gives you a rhythm as well. So thank you for sharing all of that.
You're most welcome.
So, Annie, you've had a really interesting background and you've pushed your body through marathons and Ironman you've shared with me. And I'm so interested in the way that you would have related to your body at that particular time. And then as something has shifted, um, and I don't know whether you still do these this sort of elite level running, but has there been a point in time where your body has shifted, where the way that you related to your body over the years has shifted, and how has that been for you? What did your body start asking of you instead? I'd love to hear about
Mm.
that.
Oh, it's such an interesting question because endurance events, people think, that it is this horrible, like, why would you even do that? It must be so awfully painful. And there are some difficult moments, I'm not gonna lie. However, one of the things that I have always really enjoyed about endurance sports, especially on the running side, is that you are alone. There is nowhere to hide. But that journey, when you are pushing yourself, you really get to be in touch with who you are. So I would say that I was very out of touch with my body before I began that journey. And I got to learn so much about myself through it. And subsequently, in a number of years ago, I heard a very elite, like I am not an elite athlete at all. I'm part of the normal people in the middle. But I heard this incredible elite athlete say, "Oh, when the pain comes, just welcome it. Um, just see it as this conversation that is happening." And not something to be fought, but something to be understood. And I was like, hallelujah, that's exactly what over the years I started to understand. So I don't know that it has necessarily changed over the years, Charlotte. It definitely my body has changed. Um, but if anything, I am far more attune to the messages that my brain tells me. And I know when I have some real limits, but I also know, oh, this is just normal pain. This is nothing to get excited about. It's hot. I'm sweating. This race is long. Like I have such a better relationship with everything that my body is telling me, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I think that is so interesting. And I just love that because what I'm really hearing from you is a sense of disconnection, maybe from your body, or not listening, not being as attuned to the messages your body's giving you before, that through the practice of, and I know you said it's not elite in terms of the grand scale of things, but the dedication and devotion, the commitment that it takes to train for events like that, I can really feel and imagine. I've only done one half marathon in my life, and I found that pretty challenging. I won't lie. But the way that you're having to really hear what your body is showing you, and then be in that place of discernment as well about what is fear, what is an anticipation of a pain, and perhaps where we make that worse, where we're anticipating something and we're and afraid of it versus the capacity that it's grown in you to stay with it, to say, okay, I'm feeling this, I'm sensing this. Let's get a little perspective here. Is this injury style pain, or something is severely broken or injured pain? Or is this a pain of discomfort? And is this something to stay with and that I can build a tolerance and capacity for? And I'm just seeing, of course, all the parallels of how that is just so wise for the rest of our life and for midlife and for the changes and transitions that we go through more broadly. I think that's really, really fascinating. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm hearing that you feel like nothing has really changed as much since, sort of over the years since, but do you feel like that has really stood you instead for the rest of your life in a way that it's wisdom that you didn't have before?
Oh my God, it's one of the biggest gifts of this journey, which I never I did not undertake that journey because I thought, oh, I need some enlightenment. And, I was just managing stress. Honestly, that's where I began. And somebody had suggested, hey, running is really good for stress management. And I thought, oh, okay. Like I really was innocent and very naive. And one thing led to another. But the now what I have seen is what a gift it was of that self-knowledge, the resilience that is in me. And anytime that there are some obstacles, and of course, when you own your own business, or, even if somebody has a family, or in midlife itself can present some interesting challenges, I always think back, Annie, you have done 13 marathons, you have done 3 Ironman, you can handle this, right? And it's been a beautiful place to go back to because I can break it down just like we train for an Ironman, just like we train for a marathon. You know, you don't do it more gifted than somebody else. There is a method. So I always go, okay, how can I break it down so that I can get, like reverse engineer so that I can actually reach that goal. And it has been something that I go back to, so often.
That's incredible wisdom. Yeah. So let's talk then. Let's take it from there into the midlife realm. As you were just saying, it can present some, interesting challenges of its own. What is it that you're seeing in midlife women now, the women that you work with and support? What is it perhaps that are the moments that are when they are coming to you? What is it that they are experiencing beyond hormones in a sense of something is changing? I don't have what I need anymore. Things I'm trying aren't working. I need some help. What are you seeing? What's happening?
The number one thing that I hear is I don't recognize myself. And there is a big loss of identity that is happening, right? Like, OMG, this thing is descended upon me. And mentally, I don't recognize myself. Physically, there might be some symptoms as well. Emotionally, now we know so much more as well, of course, of the menopause transition, that we now know that it is fully inside out experience. So that is the number one thing I see for women, is this sense of loss, and this sense of like, who is this person staring at me? I don't, this is, and there is a serious, like, you know, um, sometimes, disappointed, disappointed or angry, and very frustrated.
Yeah, that's powerful. So that moment of yes, things are shifting and changing in terms of energy and physical symptoms, but this real sense of not recognizing self anymore, knowing that it's so much deeper than just a few physical symptoms to tweak or change or fix even. And do you feel that this is something that you can optimize your way through in terms of you talked about liking or looking for the strategy, the method, the steps. what is would your approach be to us holding a woman who comes to you and says, I'm just looking in the mirror and I just like, and I'm feeling in myself, something has changed. What would be the question that you would ask her to sit with?
Well, my invitation is always that menopause is not a disease, right? So to reframe the experience, it's like, oh, okay. So I am transitioning from this period of fertility to this brand new season, right? And what might be the opportunity here for me? Right? So this is not like something happening to you, right? Like there's a storm and your house blew up. This is a invitation for change. What could that change look like? Right? And the ones that thrive during this time, Charlotte, are the ones who stay curious in that opportunity. The ones that resist are the ones that really struggle. I just want things to be like they used to be, right? And I think that we see that different seasons of life with different people. Um, and I think personally that, and I probably my view is tainted, that this is probably one of the best time in a woman's life for all
Mm-mm.
kinds of reasons. But I try to bring the reality is that we live in a both ageist and sexist world. So the loss of fertility starts to also show like, oh, well, maybe now I'm not as attractive. Maybe now I'm not as relevant, right? These are the messages that are descending upon us from the world that we live, especially in, North America, where I am. I mean, oh my God, it's terrible, the messaging around aging. So I think we internalize all these messages since we were little girls, and
Mm-hmm.
we get at this stage. No wonder women are frustrated. No wonder they're angry. And my view is that this is actually an incredible opportunity to thrive. If now there are some real symptoms that some women we do need to address, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, but there is help now. There are some tools that we can give women, thankfully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I really feel this too. I feel like from a rites of passage point of view that this midlife phase, which I'm coming, towards, I've just turned 40 in the last 6 months or so, but already feel having been so attuned to my body and cycle, I feel like I'm really noticing the early markers that perhaps and I've had conversations with other women on this podcast too that have made me really kind of go, okay, the things I thought are just stress or the things I thought were just XYZ, something's changing. So from that point of view, I'm coming towards it. And I really do feel that these are thresholds where we have to release the person we've been before and step into a new phase of life. And it is an opportunity and it is an invitation. And it's one I'm personally really excited about. But I can see where in this life, as you say, we're conditioned from young ages to be attractive and to the male gaze particularly, and to do anything that we can to maintain that. And as we get older and older, and I feel like I personally have become more comfortable in myself and in my body as it's changing, but that's taken a lot of work. And I know that so many of the changes that can happen to the body, especially when we're not attuned and um, perhaps able to understand the kinds of support that we might be needing that might really serve us at this particular time. If we're not aware that these changes can bring us closer to a truer sense of who we are, it can be one that causes a real split, a real severance in terms of the reality and the sense of self that we have
Mhm.
built and maintained over our lifetime. So it's I'm really curious from your perspective, would you would you be interested in sharing the biggest identity change that you experienced in your perimenopause,
Mhm.
menopause journey? What was it for you that really asked you to reconsider who you are and how you'd related to yourself?
Yeah, I think I really saw it when it came to personal boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So I very much saw the change from the people pleasing to this unwavering love for who I am and not at the cost of diluting who I am. So, um, and it shows up, in your personal relationships, in your professional relationships, in your dealings with the world at large. And I think that it's probably the most liberating thing that someone can experience because when you are so crystal clear about what matters to you and what doesn't, decision making is very easy. You never wonder, is this good for me or is this not good for me? Right? When you're so clear, it's the answers present themselves naturally. So I very, very, very rarely, agonize over a decision. Maybe if it would restaurant I want to go to. It's, but when it comes to my relationships and in terms of integrity, communication, what's important, um, it's made my life a lot lighter. I carry a lot less.
Oof, I love that. I love that so much. I am curious when you're saying that decision making feels easier and that your truth is clearer. How did it become clearer? How did your truth come to you before? And how does it come to you now? What's lifted so that you can access the clear truth? What's the difference?
Yeah, I think that in the past I was a lot more thinking in um, I don't want to miss anything. I want to
Mm,
I never want to cut myself short of perhaps something that would have been good. So, if somebody is suggesting something and I'm not really into that, but I'm like, oh, but maybe I'm going to be missing out on something. Like I was very much in that frame of mind, and making sure that I belonged and that I was liked and appreciated. And the shift now is I'm a lot more clear about like what are the things that make me happy, that are fulfilling. Um, I'm much more and therefore more direct also with friends. And, a very simple example would be, people suggesting, "Hey, we're all going to go and play pickleball." And I really don't like it. But we're all going to meet for dinner after, and I will simply say, like, great, I'll cut the pickleball. I will do my own run, which will make me happy, and then I will see you back for dinner. Right? And I don't care what anybody will say, right? So it's an easy, super, benign example, but that multiplied by 100 of all the decisions you're constantly making.
oh yeah, I feel that. And I think that's a really great example as well because it's typical of the everyday. And I do know what you mean. The sense of feeling like you're going to miss out, the sense of wanting to fit in and belong and not be kind of excluded or self-exclude or out of the circle in a way. And the shift to going, I don't need that in order to belong because for me, it's I belong to myself no matter what. And I don't need to participate in things that don't feel good to me just to have that sense of belonging. And I love what you said there. I'm going to say no to that bit and yes to this bit. And I am good and clear. I think that's such a good example. And then, as you say, the compounding effect of that, the weight and energy that goes into decisions and actually knowing what you want, but feeling like you can't just claim it is exhausting. Absolutely
Yes.
exhausting. Mm,
Absolutely. Like I never understood, this is so interesting that you say that because I never understood when people said, oh, I want to be, living in alignment and all that. And I was always like, what the hell does that mean? Like because I was so detached again, right, from my body and I did not understand this whole notion of what are my values? What are the things that I believe in? But once you get clear on that, it's like, oh, like it's so much easier. It doesn't mean that life doesn't throw you the all the nonsense and the irritants and that your washing machine is not going to break. Like life will happen, but you waste so much less energy in places, in actions, in endeavors with people that are not aligned with who you are and who you want to be in the world.
yeah. What a gift. What a gift. How do you feel that women who may be still overriding that sort of choice point of how do I know what I want to do? How do I know what is sort of a fear or versus what, it's coming from me? How can she start to really listen in and discern that difference? What are some ways you
Yeah,
might suggest?
it does require some brutal honesty. It
Hmm.
does, right? And a good place to do it in a safe, fairly safe environment is simply to journal, right? Start there. And allow yourself, hopefully you are in a space where you can write and feel that it's safe, where you express what it is that is working for you, even listening to what is going on with the body, right? Because the body is always telling us. We're not listening most of the time, but the body is always telling us when it's not aligned. You know, the reactions, it could be physical, it could be emotional, it could be mental. Anytime that we're out of whack, it tells us. So by just simply listening and journaling, it's a great, great place to start, Charlotte.
Hmm.
Where, because I understand that it could seem like a difficult exercise to undertake, or a bit threatening, but doing that, is a great place to start and do it every day. Right? Do it every day. And you don't have to become a writer. It's just maybe it's a 10-15 minute exercise, right? Simply opening yourself up.
Yes, I love journaling. It's been such a fundamental practice for me. For me, I'd just like to say that for journaling, you don't have to be a writer. And I remember when I was young, I used to do Dear Diary, when I
Yes,
was young.
yes.
And I had to let all that go, obviously, because it was surface level, just recounting the events of the day. And I think that is where that shows up for us now is when we're attached to the story of who we are and our life and the roles and the interactions and the dynamics and that's just how it is versus dropping in beneath with journaling. And I have to just let my pen write and take all expectations of what it is I think I should be saying. And sometimes I write a little bit and sometimes I write a lot, but so profound, isn't it, as a practice? Because I feel like you get through the layers of, what's just top of mind and then what's beneath that. And then at some point, you drop into, oh yeah, this is the deeper truth that's underneath all of these things. And oh yeah, I can see how it connects. And oh, now I can really feel what the clarity is around
Yes.
whatever it is. And I'm really taken back to just tying the threads right back to what you said at the start about what running has gifted you. the ability to stay in the discomfort, the ability to stay in the unknown and to just stay with it. And I'm hearing you talking about, the commitment as a practice. So journaling or listening, learning to listen, learning to feel that you had through running and you can have through journaling and just listening into the body. But when it feels like you don't know and you're not sure and it's not making sense and staying with it, coming back to it and building that ability to hear beneath the noise. I just think that
Yeah.
is like such a essential like nugget right there.
And it's so interesting that you say that because so many times when we are stuck, right, whatever the context, um, going for a walk, going for a run, uh, using your body will bring clarity. It will bring you solutions. I cannot tell you how much creativity I have when I'm on a run, right?
Mm.
When I get out of the over ruminating, overthinking, and I just let my mind go. How much, and it's been very much reported by, you know, people of all ilks, how powerful it is. So often when women are stuck and they're like, oh, I don't even know, I just say, for the love of God, just go for a 30-minute walk and you will see. Don't go with an agenda. Just stay curious and see what happens. Do not listen to anything. Let yourself be.
Mm.
And so much wonderful goodness is going to come out of that.
Love that. I think it's so true. It's getting rid of the distractions, isn't it? And giving our brain chance to actually just be and just move at its own pace and find its own way. I in another season of life when I had babies, I used to feel like that when I would breastfeed in the chair at nighttime and you couldn't move because you were pinned down by a baby. And you're like, well, I'm stuck here. And you sort of be drifting in and out of sleep and awake. I would have lightning bolt realizations, ideas. Oh my gosh, that's it. And I'd be like, oh, where's a pen and paper? I'm going to forget this. And obviously I didn't have a pen and paper, but I could have put a pad down next to me. That would have been quite a smart idea. Now, I'm many years past that. And it's in the quiet moments where I love learning and I love listening, and it's so easy to choose the playlist, the podcast, to read the book, to do the things, but to strip all that out and just give yourself the chance to let your brain kind of have free play, like unstructured play, is where I also agree. I access so much insight and inner gnosis and like just the clarity where perhaps I'm feeling just stuck and keep butting up against the same challenge or the same block or resistance, or something needs to change but I can't quite get there. So really hearing you in all of these different ways and the simplicity that it gets to be. If you're not a runner, go for a walk. Just give yourself the chance to switch off and not attach meaning or purpose or a goal to it, but just to let it just to let it be.
Yes. Yeah, and what we also know, Charlotte, at perimenopause is that the bigger symptoms are all mentally related. Anxiety, depression, anger, mood swings. So we know this, and often we prescribe women all kinds of drugs. And I'm not anti-drugs, but there's a time and place. But yet, what they need to do first and foremost is that time to themselves to be able to just, unload and being able to just be. So it becomes, something that I think is a gift for everybody. But at midlife, it becomes essential.
Mm. Essential. Yeah. And so if a woman feels like she's doing everything right in terms of maybe diet or trying to sleep better or relate to, manage her stress, for example, she's taking supplements, for example, there's still this sense, was what I'm really hearing, is this sense of, okay, you might be ticking these boxes from a physical point of view, but the inner initiation is still going to be there. The inner sense of, okay, you might be, managing symptoms on one side, but there's this sense of not knowing who she is, feeling like something is changing, boundaries changing, relationships changing, truth emerging that wasn't there. And so, would you? Am I reflecting that right? That there's kind of like these two sides of all of this for you. Is there's the physical side and the nutrition side and sort of well-being, but really the symptoms are coming through on the mental level, and so that is to do with mental health, but to do with relating to ourselves and welcoming who we're becoming.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautifully said. It is a total body experience. So there are moments where we get fixated on some of the physical attributes, but what we need to understand is the full perspective, right? And to be open to all of that. There is a wonderful American doctor who wrote a book called The Upgrade. And in it, she, takes the reader through the fact that midlife and what's on the other side is truly a call for that renewal, right? Literally the upgrade of our operating system. Okay? So this is time to like out with the old and in with the new so that um, we get to have more fulfillment and be happy. We know the Japanese call it the second spring. We know that there is literally the brain rewires
Mm.
through menopause. So I love this notion of upgrading. Right? This is not a time of loss, but a time of opportunity.
Yes. It's not the end, it's the beginning, and it's a time of truth dropping in. Yeah, the
Very much
upgrade.
so.
Yeah, I love that so much. Okay, so if you have somebody and she is really feeling like she wants to explore this, she knows that there's this truth there, there's this reckoning happening where she's being invited to listen more deeply. And you've provided some really beautiful tools so far as well. So thank you for that. Um, what would be your suggestion about the best place for her to start? If somebody's really hearing this and really feeling it, and she's not quite sure, like what would be her first step, her first couple of steps, maybe?
Yeah, I highly recommend the communities because nothing destroys shame faster than being in community of truth, right?
Mm,
So I think that there's a lot of benefit to these communities where it is open, it's not judgmental, we're getting some resources. I think that is a wonderful place to begin.
mm,
And there might be some people who are like, oh, Annie, like, no, no, I don't want to be with people, and that's totally fine. It's not for everybody, right? One of the things that I always recommend is start to keep another type of journal, which is a little bit of like a symptomatic journal, like taking stock of what is happening, right? From sleep to mental health to emotional health to physical health,
mm,
right? What am I experiencing? I was on a call before our recording today with somebody who was like, oh, if I had only known that these symptoms were associated, I would have not like blamed myself for being weak and
mm-hmm,
all of these things, right? So I think that it's a great place to start is simply let's take stock and literally every day just track it. Like an athlete would track their workouts. You track, okay, sleep was half decent. I'm going to give myself a 7 out of 10. I ate vegetables today and I had some water, right? Like start to my energy was okay. Start to just track that. There are many tools online, by the way, that you can download for free that will help you with that tracking. I find that that brings so much clarity because when you look at that over maybe a month, it's very revealing. Like, oh, look at what is happening with me. I never noticed that X was going on, right? So it's a really wonderful place, especially for women who are perimenopause. So in the early onset of the menopause journey, there is enormous amount of change during that time. So that's a great place to start.
Beautiful tips. Thank you. I love that. And for me, it's like I've been tracking my cycle for years. And so that's what I've been doing is tracking just the shifts. And I think I really feel what you're saying there about over the month, you can see the bigger picture. But the other side of it for me too is that if I don't write it down, I've forgotten or I'm getting my facts wrong. It's skewed, I'm memory. Like I
Totally.
like, was it really? You just is that what you've fixated on and you've forgotten actually, the other good things, or oh no, it really was that bad and you've got the evidence of it. And for me, that's how I've noticed these very, very early shifts is just from tracking and really tuning in. Otherwise,
Mhm.
I wouldn't have noticed because it has been quite subtle until it wasn't, until it wasn't. And instead of it being out of the blue and being like a real shock, I was like, oh yeah, I can see, yeah, I can see where had come from. I can see where this is going. And because I have the framework and the understanding of, like you say, this is a whole body shift and a whole inner outer shift. I can
Mm.
meet that with compassion and wisdom and tools and knowledge. And it is so much more empowering than feeling like, I guess for some women, you get to sort of your mid or later 40s and the shift is like very, very profound and it can feel like it's come from nowhere. So, knowledge is power. And I absolutely love that. And I really love too what you're saying about community. For me, I'm a community person. And as you say, acknowledging that not everyone is, but how beautiful to have community so that you're not gaslighting yourself or imagining things or being hard on yourself, sharing what works just as we do. We tend to befriend. That's what we do as women, isn't it? And so I think the invitation to maybe talk about this with your friends or find specific community online or in person or whatever sisterhood is there for you, that could be really, really beautiful. So, Annie, thank you so much for sharing and for being with us. It's been really, really juicy. I've absolutely loved teasing out the pieces of wisdom, and I'm so fascinated and going to personally take with me what you shared about running. About I'm not necessarily a runner myself. I'm doing jujitsu more recently and going to the gym, but finding that these moments, like in jujitsu, where I'm grappling physically with somebody else and it has been a confronting experience, but one I felt like I needed to step into to release some fears and nervous system freeze and uh, timidness and or lots and lots and lots of things, as well as never mind all the physical benefits. But I'm reflecting on how that has given me, like running has given for you, that sense of being able to stay present in the challenging moments when it feels hard, when it feels confronting, and to find what is real fear and what is real logical fear and what is our body and nervous system sort of setting off early warning signs that and alarms that
Yep.
maybe are a little bit hyperactive. And I'm going to really take that with me in terms of remembering that maybe like a labor, maybe like in pregnancy, like yeah, it's hard, but we're going through it. We can't go around it. We're going through it. So thank you so
Exactly.
much for that. Yeah.
You're
Where
most
can
welcome.
listeners find you, Annie, to reach out to explore your offers?
Yes.
Would you like to share what you are offering in terms of spaces or
Um,
support and where we can find you?
yes. Anybody that is interested listening to this podcast, very easy. You just simply go to my website, which is vive.ca. So that's VEEV.ca. I have a complimentary call that anybody who, is interested, has questions, usually this is a very confusing time, just needs some clarity, right? We'll spend 30 minutes together and I can definitely support you. There's also tons of resources on the website as well, and lots of recordings that people can, just search. And anybody, from perimenopause to postmenopausal, there is something for everybody there.
Amazing. Thank you. And yeah, I was looking over your website and saw all kinds of resources and lots of like a really great blog as well. And all kinds of things that I thought, what a great treasure trove of wisdom for anyone who's looking for answers and insights. So yeah, go check out Annie's site. That's veev.ca. Thank you, Annie. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank
Thank
you, everyone, for
you.
listening. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening, my love, to Wildflower Podcast. If you found medicine in this episode, please share it on socials and leave a review. If you are a sacred space holder, a coach, a priestess, a healer, come and take the free quiz now to discover your sacred feminine leadership dial. Understand your frequencies is magic and medicine for your soul client, and how to work with your leadership edge so that you can show up in your sacred authority and create the business that holds you so you don't have to hold it all. Until next time, my love, stay devoted to your body and your spirit as sacred guide as you share your unique medicine in this world.